What's up, my archfiends of chaos? This is none other than King of the Night 57, Vince Mountain VX Turk. And, well, we're going to be discussing the character of Kefka in this one. And why I, personally, in my opinion, this would be an opinion video, why I think Kefka is the most sad and depraved character of Final Fantasy ever. And not because he's because of the Joker ripoff. I get that a whole lot. I'm gonna be more original than what people that compare the two characters. The real reason why I think that that Kefka is depraved and sad is after he fell into the bath of chemicals. I don't know what Kefka was like before, because it never got into the backstory. We just only seen concept art of a more attractive looking Kefka if he would have never fell in the the bed of chemicals that turned him into a megalomaniac as he is. Kefka is more like kind of like your typical 4chan and Reddit troll, except in a way that is just more disgusting and depraved. And this is where the depraved comes from. He gets off on killing a whole bunch of people or having people dead and suffering any way he could. If he can inflict suffering, he got off to Celes killing herself in Final Fantasy VI for people who have finished Final Fantasy VI. He's killed the Emperor and just has an enjoyment. Kefka has instead of getting the reactions like trolls do, what Kefka actually does is he gets a laugh out of seeing someone suffering so severely, physically and mentally and psychologically. This is where people actually compare him to the Joker, because the Joker does the same thing. The Joker's an evil clown who pretty much gets off on hurting people and gets his joys from that. And that's the only thing Kefka's character actually has. That's the only thing Kefka's character holds on to. He has no love, no connections, no one to care for, no one to love, no one, doesn't know how to love at all. Maybe before he fell into the bed of chemicals. Even before that, even his counterpart Arden, that is just as evil and as wicked as him. At least Arden, actually understood what love was, and how much he cared for the world, considering he sacrificed his body to the demons. But we're not talking about Arden. I'm just saying, Arden being just like he is. But the difference is, after Kefka has fell into his accident, and the accident was the bed of chemicals, Kefka became more sad and depraved on the factor that he doesn't know how to love. He only knows how to do one thing, and that's destroy and kill for enjoyment. That's why I said he's your typical Reddit and 4chan troll, but in a way that's more satanic and evil, like he is in the game. I mean, he poisons the water in, I think it was Fargo Castle. I can't remember if it was Fargo, but it was one of the castles. He actually poisoned the water to kill a whole bunch of people, using biological warfare. And Kefka will do anything it takes to win. It does not matter the cost. It does not matter. I know most Final Fantasy villains will do anything, but there's actually some parts of Final Fantasy villains that there's lines that they're not willing to actually cross, even though they're bad guys. Kefka will cross all of them. Even in Dissidia, the Duodecim and regular Dissidia, even Chaos had hard time trusting Kefka, because out of all of them, Kefka is the most dangerous, considering the fact that his whole entire life's goal is to cause misery, pain, and chaos, and to also control Terra, because he thinks Terra belongs to him, considering he's the one who actually did horrible experiments to Kefka, to Terra. But nonetheless, it's like, it's just in the factors, in the actual factors that we see. Kefka is a depraved, immoral destroyer. In a way where it's just nothing but enjoyment. It's child's play to him. And that's what makes him really depraved and sick and disgusting. It's the fact that, Kefka is willing, to do anything to get his enjoyment out of it. And like I said about clowns, this is why I don't trust clowns in the first place, because, you don't never know. I mean, I get some clowns are paid to be, funny without hurting people, but the only clowns I've known and grew up with was Stephen King's It, the original Pennywise, the Joker off the Batman animated series, and pretty much, just anything with evil clowns. But nonetheless, Kefka would be considered the most evilest out of all clowns. And not to mention, when he does get the power to destroy the world, which he actually does once he gets those statues in there and becomes the fallen angel type of being after, in their final battle, he actually ends up destroying the world and sending the whole world into chaos and darkness like Arden has in 15. And this is exactly why they have actually used Kefka's archetype for when they made Arden, because Kefka was the first one to plunge the world into darkness by destroying it, by splitting it in half, and then splitting your party members in half, and then the fact he's also made party members, do horrendous things to themselves in order for his entertainment, such as Celeste's almost suicide, such as, a whole bunch of disgusting things. Kefka has caused a whole bunch of havoc and chaos. Even though the Emperor is a bad guy, the Emperor Gestal is a bad guy in Final Fantasy VI, Emperor Gestal would have at least, cut back on some stuff. Matter of fact, Emperor Gestal is kind of like President Shinra. Yeah, they're evil, but they just want to control the world. They don't want to destroy it or anything like that. Kefka wants to destroy everything. And just like his rival Sephiroth, that people say that he's a rival to Kefka, Sephiroth is doing it out of anger and hatred and pain and suffering people inflicted on him. Kefka does this out of enjoyment. Kefka is pretty much just the type of person that just will never grow from his mistakes. He'll never learn from what he's doing. He'll never actually understand his character flaws or change it. And matter of fact, he only thinks inwards of his fun, and that's about it. Even at the cost of so many people. And this was genius to put with Arden, except with a better backstory. Because, in my opinion, Arden did have the better backstory, because Arden knew love and all that before everything was taken away from him. Kefka is just a satanic clown destroyer. And don't even get me started on the City of Opera Omnia mobile game, where he pretty much tricks Vincent Valentine into being an evil mercenary just so he could see the love of his life again. But Kefka tricks him, and pretty much just like Kefka does with everybody else, Kefka tricks people as well. He wants people to submit to him, but only in a way where he could just hurt them in ways by lying to them. And that's the way Kefka works, And that's why, Kefka has no conscience. Even though Final Fantasy villains are pure evil and they destroy things, they actually have reasons and goals what they accomplish. Sephiroth wants to inflict the pain that is done on him to the world. Arden wants to get revenge against his bloodline for what his bloodline did to him. Kais wants to save Yule. And so on and so on. Kefka, there is nothing. It's just all about destruction and chaos. Nothing else. Nothing else motivates this character except for loving to see people suffer and hurt. That's why I compare him to a typical 4chan and Reddit troll, because, except I'll give at least Kefka 1 point for not being like the Dark Knight Joker, where the Dark Knight Joker was serious about the stuff he was doing, where he's just like, where the Dark Knight Joker was like a hobo. At least Kefka was actually fun and enjoyable, and he did make us laugh, irregardless of the evil he has done. Especially the Pat Pat dance every time he fights his opponents. That was funny. Like, he still keeps it fun, even though it's like evil fun. But at least Kefka was fun and funny at the same time. So I gotta give him credit that Kefka was not an edgelord at all. I'll give at least that much. Kefka was no edgelord. He was just like, like, I hate to compare him to the Joker because many people do this, but people, He's more like the Batman animated series Joker. Like it's just fun and games to him. Kefka is nothing more than a child who's not grown up mentally, who has not grown up mentally, and finds hurting people as a source of enjoyment. So that's why I think Kefka's the most depraved and sad character of any Final Fantasy game ever. Now, if you disagree, let me know in the comments, and I know I'm going to already get hate comments because Kefka's a big favorite, especially to the Final Fantasy VI fan base. Not to say Kefka was a bad villain. He was a good villain. Don't get me, he was a good villain. But he was just sad to pray for the less characteristics he has. So may the crystal be with you. Go ahead, send your dislikes and your hate like you normally do, because I know I'm going to get that. And may the crystal be with you.